Thank you for joining us for AHA, which stands for a human among humans.
Among humans. I would like to call it Change the World, We Need It.
Change the world, we need it. Yes, but we had a president who ran... This is Stan Ederson, by the way, who, among other things, teaches drama at the Cambridge Center for Adult Education.
That's right.
Since when?
Since 1959. I've been there for 52 years, and I half hate it and half love it.
I'm too interested to... And I'm going to ask, what do you hate about it? What do you love about it?
What I hate about it is that, in a sense, what it doesn't quite happen is that people aren't honored enough, and honored for what they do and what they think. I've been there for 52 years, and it's about time I got a wristwatch.
Yes, I could give you a rubber band.
I'll take my rubber band now while I can, and I'll put that
I
on.
want to say,
yes,
I've taken a class with Stan, and I've been Stan's friend since 1974.
Yes, that's a long time.
And in the name of the Cambridge Center for Adult Education, I would like to. She is honoring you. She is the goddess coming to honor you.
Okay, great.
Could you come and? This is. I know you love impromptu. We are now honoring Stan. Would you please, in some physical, verbal way, honor him for being a great teacher?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I've enjoyed your drawings very much.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
very
you.
much.
Very good.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have a treat.
Yes. Okay. Very
Yes.
And you're now pronounced one of the, which is really true, one of the most dedicated teachers, if not the most dedicated teacher I have ever known.
On this earth.
I think so.
Yes.
I think you are.
Yes.
You spend so much time.
I just want to tell you something. It just came from Pluto.
Yeah.
Pluto is no longer a planet. It's been designated below planetary, but because they don't only have gas on it. But it's a great place to be because it has no wars, no fighting, no depressions, no killing of people, no
life though.
of people.
That's like.
And that's what I want.
Oh, you want that
on this earth.
On this earth.
And it's about time we had it.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Thank you.
And that's why I'm an artist. I'm not an artist just to tinker with the stuff. I'm not an artist to please anyone. I'm not an artist to sell my work or to be famous. I'm doing it because I want the world to change.
And you have.
Yes.
You've changed many people.
I have.
One person at a time.
And sometimes 10.
And sometimes 10 people at a time.
Yes.
You're going to go to the club? Okay, thank you for blessing us.
But I think first to show you some drawings that I've done or some sort of paintings even, and give you some idea of who I am and why I am and the way I express myself. I think that's what an artist is here for, to express themselves and to show people what they can do also in order to express themselves.
I'm not sure people could do as well as you, Stan.
Well, maybe not, but they can
awesome.
do something.
Yes, you have done that. You have done that. You've taken beginning actors and turned them into very
good actors.
Very good actors, yes.
It's true.
And on this show, while you're watching this show, Stan is going to take us and make us a better human being by the time we're finished, yes?
Probably so.
What?
Probably so.
Probably so. Oh, so we can't count on it.
No.
But we can hope.
Because it's up to each person who sees this.
Oh, I'm afraid of that.
Yes.
Yes.
They can't do it. I can't do it to them. They have to do it for themselves.
Oh, I need saving.
What?
I need. I'm not sure I can do it myself. I unlike you, I need help from God.
Yes.
You don't.
I don't need help from God. I need help from other people, and I have to help other people.
Yes.
If we work together, really together as people, if we are on this earth, not for ourselves, but for each other, that would be a wonderful thing.
Well, but we have to love ourselves first, too. Yes, love ourselves.
We have to love ourselves, and we have to love other people.
I'm having trouble with that. So have you learned to love yourself?
I have sometimes loved myself.
Yes, yes. Oh.
Tuesdays, Thursdays, and
yes,
Saturdays.
and this is Sunday. Oh.
Some days it's hard to let
Yeah, very hard. We have better days.
I want to tell an anecdotal story. I just got very angry. I was just very angry. I have to take the ride because I no longer have a car or can drive. So I do take the ride, and I got angry at the ride because they were almost getting me here too late for even to this interview. So I got angry, and it's okay to get angry at that kind of stuff. When things don't go right and you really feel it and you have some justification for that, you should say it. Sometimes not too loudly, as sometimes I do, but you still should say it. And I want to show you some drawings which say something about life.
Okay, good.
And about people.
So here we are, Stan Ederson is showing, and this is Stan's, in some ways, hobby, right? Because you're in drama.
Well, it is something that I started doing when I was 2 years old. And then
in the Bronx? In Brooklyn?
In the Bronx. I grew up in the South Bronx. Wonderful, terrible place to grow up. I always feel that it's both great and not so great.
Now, before you get into how the Bronx was great and not so great, you told us that the Cambridge Center has not honored you.
Yes.
Me neither.
I know.
Yes. And I miss that, yes.
Well, it's not just...
But you've honored, but Michelle just came to honor you.
Yes.
I hope you feel that this is,
right.
wasn't just a medal, this was a living, beautiful woman.
Sure. I know. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It isn't so much the Cambridge Center, it's just the way we treat each other in general in our culture. We don't care that much about each other. We care about we're selling a product. I just saw last night on GBH the front line about Wall Street.
Yes.
And that was fantastic because it showed how we don't deal well with each other. We just use ourselves to make money. And that's crazy. That's
and you have not that you've worked for very little money.
I've worked for no money at all.
A little. You have enough to you have eaten.
Yeah.
I can see you have eaten.
Yeah, I've eaten. I've never starved.
You've not.
I've never starved for food. I starved for what really counts is an understanding and an appreciation of what I contribute and other people contribute.
But a lot of people.
Appreciate
you though. I think.
Thank you.
No, I think so.
Okay.
Your students.
Yes, they do.
You spend how many hours do you spend on a class like that acting class?
Well, it's a 3-hour class, and I spend about 30 hours for 3 hours.
30 hours a week, or no?
Yeah, 30 hours a week on a particular class. Sometimes it is that way.
This is very dedicated, Stan.
Yeah.
And you're over 50?
I'm 82 years old.
Wow. When is your birthday?
No, I thought that I should say 82 and then say it backwards.
28. People do that. They subtract, actually, after 50, you could subtract 32 years. Right. And it's true. Aren't we getting younger as we're getting older? Both?
Well, I'll tell you what's happening to me.
And you can talk to the camera if you want to.
Okay.
Those are the people that are loving
us. I'd rather
us.
Talk to the camera.
You can do both.
I will do both.
I'm here too.
I will talk to Michael,
yes.
and I'll talk to the camera,
yes.
and I'll talk to my drawings. Because they're important to me. It is that we have to get to a better consciousness of awareness of why we're here. And we're not here for the usual reasons that people give. And that is the most important thing in my life, to do that as to the day I die. And that's all I care about. It's not all I care about. It's mainly what I care about. And I just want to get that message across. And when I do theater, it's the same thing.
And then the message again is, for those of us who are forgetful, the message is?
Message again is, change the world, it needs it. And that message was actually said by Bertolt Brecht. Bertolt Brecht was a German playwright back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. And he actually lived in America for a while. He had to flee Germany when Hitler came into power, and he had to flee from country to country in Europe until he finally came to America. And even in America, in the 1940s, he was hounded because he was thought to be un-American, and he had to leave America and go back to Germany after the war. But everywhere he went, he put up a slogan in his workshop or wherever he was, and it's always said, change the world, it needs it. So I think that's a wonderful idea, and I praise it, and I appreciate him, and I appreciate people who try to do that.
And you have.
And I have tried to do that.
You've done very well.
Yes.
I mean, so you didn't tell us the good thing about the Cambridge Center.
Oh, the good thing about the Cambridge Center. Well, that I'm there, and beyond that, that there were other good people there, like Michael, and that were good teachers.
That's me.
That's Michael. and that the Cambridge Center tries to do well. It really does. I don't mean to put it down at all, because I've actually gotten a lot out of it by being there.
And they're faithful to us.
They're very faithful.
They're faithful,
Yeah.
and they've even raised our salaries $1 an hour.
Yeah.
They have. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I love the Cambridge Center. I mean, it is hard. I used to teach every night of the week.
Right.
And now, okay. And now the Bronx. What was wonderful, and what was not so wonderful about growing up in the South Bronx?
Well, the South Bronx was a ghetto. It wasn't a ghetto like in Europe. It was a ghetto because it was only the area that I grew up in was all Jewish. There were maybe a few other people of other nationalities, but mainly it was people grouping together, having to live in the same neighborhood, mainly because of anti-Semitism, which was very prominent even in New York City, and that people needed the feeling of being with their own people, so to speak, and that's why people did do that. But the place where I grew up in was a working class, low income place, and I loved that too. It wasn't the rich Jews who lived in Winchester or
Riverside, yes.
Yeah, Westchester, or Riverside, or Riverdale. It wasn't like that. It was very basic living, and people were very good to each other as people, as neighbors. I lived in a neighborhood. Actually a neighborhood which later, many years later, I realized was like a little village, because I knew everyone in the neighborhood. They knew me. The kids that I played with after school I get very emotional about this, because I feel a lot. I feel that there was something there that was very beautiful, and even at that day and time, I didn't always recognize it, because sometimes I felt that the people also in that neighborhood were also so desperate just to have a good living and to live in a better place, that it was hard sometimes for them too. So I feel for them a lot.
And your parents, what did they do?
They were working class people. My mother would go door to door selling wigs.
Selling wigs?
Selling wigs.
For Orthodox women?
For Orthodox women, or to anyone who needed it.
Wow, door to door.
Yeah.
That's hard.
And my father was very working class. He tried to be middle class. He tried to make it well, rich, and make money, but he never really succeeded.
And what did he do?
He started out as a young boy, young man, putting up telephone poles in the Adirondacks Mountains.
Wow, brave.
That was his job.
Brave.
He worked hard.
He was born in Europe, of course, yes?
What?
He was born in Europe?
No, he was born in
the States. He was born here?
He was here, born in the States. And he lived on the Lower East Side in Manhattan.
Yes.
And his family that he came from finally moved to the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's where I was born and grew up. And then, when I was 16 and a half, I left the Bronx and moved to the Lower East Side.
Oh my, back to
because I wanted to go back where I came from.
Oh my.
And I did.
Well, thank you. Stan could tell us his life story, but we're gonna. I love his drawings.
Yes. Let's look at them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna look at one here. Hopefully, let's see. There it is. Is it upside down?
It's upside
yes.
down. Here we go.
If you've joined us late, this is Stan Ederson, and these are his drawings. And so tell us about this.
Well, these are drawings I actually...
I could look at them for a very long time. I'm glad for this opportunity.
I actually did these one night. I did 50 drawings in one night, and in a kibbutz in Israel. It was right on the Lebanese border, and the kibbutz was being shelled by over the border, just like some places in Israel are shelled today. And I had a whole night to myself. They put me up in a room that I could use as a guest in the kibbutz, and I wondered what to do with myself in that room. And because I always in my life, I've been hearing about the Jewish face is there such a thing as a Jewish face? Is there characteristics that make people look Jewish or are Jewish? So I decided to draw the Jewish face. So I spent a couple of hours, must have been 4 hours, of drawing one face after the other, searching for the Jewish face. Of course, there is no Jewish face. There's no Jewish face. Jews have grown up in many parts of the world and with many different nationalities. But I still wanted to find not just really the physical Jewish face. I wanted to find the kind of the soul of the people, where they really are, where they really care about themselves and each other. That's what counted for me. So that's what I was doing.
And why is that sad for you to say that?
It's very sad because of the history of the Jews in the past and even the history now, which is sad in some very significant ways. I've been to Israel several times, and I also been to Palestine. And when I went to Palestine, I saw how the people in Palestine suffered, like Jews have suffered in the past. And I felt very sad about it, and a little bit angry too, at the Israeli government and why they do that, why they make it hard for the Palestinian people. And so I just realized how important it was to find each other's soul, to find who they really are, not all the surface stuff, or the fronts they put on, or the politics they play out, or the economic exploitation they
You've
play
never
out.
done that.
What?
You've been soulful.
Yeah.
All the time. I'm when I grow up and be like, I hope I can be like you.
Well, I don't know if you want to be like me. I'm not sure I want to be like me. It's hard. It's hard to be an artist in any country, in any world, at any time.
So do you want to tell us a little bit more about this one before we move to the next?
Oh, well, all these drawings that I did were from my head. It wasn't from...
Oh, there were no people there?
They weren't... I didn't... It was late at night, like 2 or 3 in the morning. So I wasn't going to be drawing people. But I knew the people. I mean, I knew the faces of people.
Oh, this was based on someone that you had seen?
Well, someone I had seen and maybe even glimpsed.
Yeah.
And so it's not as if I was doing a portrait. It was that, again, it was similar to the idea that I was searching for the real person underneath. And that's what way I draw. I'm not interested in replicating a person. I think photographs do that very well. I'm more interested in finding out who they really are underneath their face, inside of their face, inside of their body. That's what's important to me.
And this does it.
Yes.
Right, maybe not the body, but certainly the face. Is this a woman, or this is a woman,
it's a
probably?
woman, yes. I have a drawing of another drawing to show.
Yes. Right.
This one I particularly like because I think this reminds me of like the wandering Jew, or the Jew who is constantly has lived in history a life of suffering, and that I thought that I captured some of that, some of the grief or the pain that the Jews often feel, even the ones who have made it.
Yeah, I can see tears, I think. Feel them.
Say it again?
Feel tears in that face.
Right.
And yet, and it is a face I've known, yes.
Yes. Yes. Should I go on?
Yes.
This is a different kind of drawing. I wanted to show you this too.
It's the other way around. This is a nice setup we have here, yes? Much easier than my home. Oh my.
Is that I've also been very fascinated and sort of very searching and curious and wanting to know what it is about men and women and how they relate to each other and how they can become good friends instead of enemies of each other, or not able to love each other. And so I keep searching for those people who are trying to do that. And this again is from my imagination. I have drawn people. I'll show you some drawings of actual people that I knew very well, and I drew. But it's not. It's like any artist who really delves beyond the surface. It's not the particular person sometimes as much as trying to find out the depth of every person.
So how when you, because this is done from imagination, it's maybe easier to do the depth? Or
in some ways it is, because sometimes the front that people put on is still evident in the drawings or paintings. And that is, Rembrandt, of course, went beyond that, or Van Gogh went beyond that. They did find the depth of people.
So you might be, you never know. Yeah. And I'm going to get one of these eventually.
Yes.
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 It was only 10 years ago.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
I promised. I made a donation. Yeah. I paid for one of these.
Right, that's right, he did. And I still hoping
I'm patient, however. Okay, so I've noticed when looking at people, even looking at you can tell when there's love between people.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Very so. Very much so.
I find that now that I'm getting more real in my 70s, more unpleasant feelings come out because I don't know how to get angry very well. And when it's there, it just clouds everything.
Yeah, of course.
But when I get to be wise like you, then... Oh, and I have for you too something. I'm going to give you something after the show's over. Okay. A book I just published.
Oh, great. I heard about that. You told me you have published a book of 360 poems?
366 poems.
366.
One for each day of the year. Yes. This is going to help you with... hopefully they're soulful. Okay. I'm sure you'll be a powerful judge, and and will not be shy about telling me.
Right. Right.
But we have something big here too.
Yeah, I want to show just one or two more
drawings.
Yes,
sure.
And then we move on.
There's no hurry, yes.
Move on. Here we go. These are recent drawings. All the drawings I've shown you were from the past.
And where did you draw this?
Again, this was from my imagination, but again, it was trying to search.
Just keep it going,
yeah, I'm starting.
Yes, okay.
I just had, again, I often do my drawings in spurts, and kind of like I will sit down and start to draw, and my desire is always there to draw, but sometimes I actually don't have the time, so I make time for it. And when I draw, I just keep on drawing and drawing and drawing.
Oh my!
And until I get somewhere. And here again, it was similar to that. I was trying to get below the surface of whoever this is, below the surface.
And this is not someone who was posing in front of you.
No, no one posing.
And where do you draw now?
What do you mean?
Where are you drawing your home or?
Oh yes, of course. Where I live in Arlington, and I draw now. Now this is a drawing. I want to show you this.
Gee.
This is actually.
That would make people think of Jesus, I think.
Yes, it could very well make them think of Jesus.
Yes, or as he's known, or is only known as Joshua.
Joshua.
Yes,
right.
He never was called Jesus in his life. And that looks like a little like I imagine Soren Kierkegaard looked.
This was actually a drawing of my wife. When I was married to her.
Yes.
And I would try to draw her and capture her.
My.
The quality of her.
Now you should be hired. We're not allowed to sell things in the show, but I would love you to do I would be afraid, but have you draw. I would love to pose for you.
He's a great face. He's got a beautiful face.
Yes.
And,
but he's going to show what's underneath this.
I would show Michael.
Reveal, yes.
Exposed.
My book hopefully does that.
Right. Now, it would be good to show us...
Let's stay with your wife just for a little bit more. Her name?
Her name is Barbara.
And I think I've met her, yes.
No, well, she's not around here anymore.
No, but I think I've met her before. I knew you in
1974.
Yes, and you were...
My wife and I started a theater group.
Yes.
In 1965.
Caravan Theater.
It was called Caravan Theater.
Yes.
And it was
And I auditioned for you.
He did. He came in from Israel, actually.
Yes.
A little while before.
Yes.
And he said he had been in Israel, had done some theater in Israel.
Yes, yes.
Etc. And I said, great. And I forget what I even asked you to do, but I know what you did.
Yes.
He's a big guy, I'm a little guy, and he lifted me up.
Oh my!
And he carried me
that
around the theater, and I thought that was amazing.
Oh my!
That you even take that kind of risk. You know, he was auditioning for a play or for the theater group.
Yes, and I did that.
And he showed me what he could do.
Wow!
That was one of the things he could do.
That was my big moment of. I can't wait to be reincarnated because I believe that.
As what?
As a woman, probably this time.
Oh, okay.
But because I think the things that we really learn,
yes,
which is not, as you would know, not the things we say necessarily.
Right.
Maybe, I mean, to really learn. I think the things that you're saying you didn't learn, you knew.
Right.
Now, did you and your wife? How did she respond? How did Bobby respond to this portrait?
Oh, she liked it. Sure.
Yes,
she liked it.
She looks very sad, but very soulful.
She had a difficult life, childhood, etc. But together we formed a group called the Koran and Stan Ederson, which was just that, was a caravan.
You moved around?
We moved around a lot. We did a lot of bookings out of the area, all throughout the Northeast. We've been to Washington, New York, Buffalo, everywhere. And because, again, we were trying to bring theater to the people, not to the elite, but to people.
Now, it seems to me, and I might be projecting, because this is getting true for me as I get older or ancient, that the words, I'm not there yet by any means, but that the words that I used, I'm slowly beginning to understand.
Right.
And it seems you've come to some peace, so that the words are more true now. I don't think you would have cried, at least in my experience of you before.
Right.
And it seems that, well, I'll just leave it like that. Okay, let us move on.
Okay. I think I'd like to show that large drawing if we
okay. This would be a challenge. This is we're technologically challenged, but we can.
This was a drawing.
Let's see how this works. Oh, this might not be bad. No.
This was actually not a drawing, but a woodcut. Should I hold it up with you? If I come in on the other side?
You can hold it up? I don't need that. And we see most of it here, yes?
Okay, I'll tell you what. Let me do this.
We can't, and this is about what we can do now. That's the question of holding up.
This was a woodcut.
We can hold it higher.
Woodcut, and it was done when I was 19 years old. And it was at the end of the Second World War when we heard about the concentration camps.
Yes.
And it again affected me very much what had happened. And even though I wasn't there in Europe at that time, I had relatives there who were sent to the camps and died in the camps. And so did my wife, had this same situation where there were people of ancestors and people that we knew and so forth.
But why don't you go back, because our mic is back behind where you, so that at least you can be heard. I'll hold it. I'll hold it.
Oh, okay.
Now, so you were born 1932?
I was born in 1929.
29, so you were about 18 when you did this?
19.
19?
I was 19 when they did it, and they did it because I felt I had to express myself as to what had happened. Since I hadn't been there and escaped that destiny, I had to at least say what I felt about it.
Were you aware? My family, we didn't talk about it ever. Not one word about it.
Right.
And your family did talk about this.
Well, you know, a lot of what happened in Europe to the Jews was not talked about until the camps were found, because a lot of that was kept secret, almost secret, by even the Western powers. So it was kind of a disgrace that that could happen and that no one really...
But the world knew about it in 1945.
Oh, they knew about it in 45 because the camps were...
And your family talked about it then, yes?
Well, there was a tendency amongst some of the Jewish community at that time even to, of course, know about it then. And
you can tell our many audience members, that's that black... Yeah. See that black hammer there? Yes.
Okay.
Those are the people that love you.
Yeah, I know. All right. I think there was a kind of, not a conspiracy, but a kind of a secrecy about what actually happened in terms that it wasn't immediately publicized until the camps were discovered. And the armies, the Western armies, came to these camps and saw what really happened and photographed it and sort of pulled the people out of the camps who was still alive. So it was very important then. By the way, many years afterwards, and after I did this woodcut, we went to Europe. We went to Poland.
Your family? Who's the we?
Well, actually, it was our theater group. We had the Caravan Theater. We were invited to a World Theater Festival in Wrocław, Poland. And it was a great festival. People were there from all over the world, including from Russia. And we actually met with the Russian theater group while we were there. And that was a very good meeting. And of course, we was very cordial. It was the height of the Cold War, but there was no Cold War with us and the other group. And so we had a great time together. At the same time, it was Poland that we were in, and Poland was one of the places where the Jews were taken from the ghettos and then brought to the camps. And my wife actually went to visit the village where her ancestors had come from, so that she... I don't want to apologize for crying. I just want to tell you that there's a lot of sadness in this world, and we have to see that and do something about it. We can't let it go on. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you for saying it so movingly.
What?
Thank you for saying it so movingly.
Yes. Anyway, we went to Poland with a play that we had created in the U.S., in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and it was about women. It was about the liberation of women. Mm-hmm. Because my wife at that time was very involved and very concerned about how women were being treated, and they're still treated in many parts of the world terribly. And so we decided we had to say something about that. And so we created a play, and we called it How to Make a Woman, and that was meant to be that kind of double message. It isn't the sexual exploitation of women, it was how women were sexually exploited. Not about us exploiting them, but how people exploit them often, including themselves. And that play we brought to Europe, we brought to this festival, and we showed it at the festival. And this was in Poland, where people spoke Polish. They didn't speak English. However, a lot of the audience who came were students, Polish students, and they could understand English. And we also made signs, because most of the play was movement-oriented, physical-oriented. It wasn't so verbal. So it could be understood by people who weren't of the English background. Anyway, we would show that play, and then we would have discussions with the audience, the Polish audiences, and we asked them, well, does this happen here? And we showed how women are exploited in America, and they said, oh no, it doesn't happen here. It's in our Constitution that it can't happen. Well, of course, that was not true. It was in the Constitution, but it wasn't practiced at all. They were very exploited in Poland, like every other part of the world. But that play, by the way, here in America, in Cambridge, Massachusetts, see, here's where doing theater or doing art can be very effective. We put on that play for 6 years, on and off for 6 years, So lots of audience, a lot of people came. And because of that, people, after the show, we would have discussion groups with the audience. At first we had mixed discussion groups, meaning men and women together, even the men and women who came together, because we thought that's the way to do it. And we found out as we would join these discussion groups that often the men would dominate the discussion. So we decided we're not going to do that. We're going to separate the men and women, whether they're married or not, or whatever, and have the women have their own groups and the men have their own group, so that the women could really speak up. And as a result of that, lots of the women who came to the show formed consciousness raising groups right there.
Wow. So we've been extraordinarily successful. You have, I mean, the status of women today compared to when you started this play, it's been beyond our dreams. That there's still a lot to be done.
Lots to be done,
But there's a lot that's been done, and for Jews too.
That's right.
Their anti-Semitism is no longer fashionable. It was even in Ernest Hemingway's book, The Sun Also Rises, or Shakespeare, The Merchant of Venice. And my father worked against it. Didn't talk much about it at home, but he was a member of the American Jewish Congress.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So there's been huge, talk about celebrations.
Yeah.
There's been huge successes.
There have been changes.
Huge with for blacks, for gays, for women, for disabled people.
I think
the ride brought you here.
Well, I think there have been successes, but there's much more work yet to be done. I think that people have to still understand that it's still not really equal. For even blacks in America, even with the black president, we still have a lot of racist stuff happening.
Yep. But racism also is no longer fashionable, which is very...
It's no longer fashionable, and yet it happens still.
Yes.
And so I don't think... I think we should praise ourselves for changing.
Yes.
But we still need to change the world. It needs it. In a much bigger way, even. Because look at what's happening. We're still fighting wars. Our country is still at war.
Oh, yes.
And it's crazy. We don't have to be at war with anyone.
No.
We have no right to be at a war, and yet we're still there.
More than right. It doesn't make sense. It's costing us money, and we're not getting anything from it.
Yes, people are dying, including our people.
Yep.
And why is that? Who needs that?
This seems to be maybe the dumbest war we've been in. The dumbest war. Afghanistan.
Every war is dumb.
No, but this I think might win the award as the dumbest war ever fought, because there's nothing we could win. At least when we attacked Mexico, we got New Mexico and California and Arizona and Texas.
Our history is full of bull. And it's glorified that we took over this whole hemisphere and was never put that way. It was put as if we were liberating people.
Yes.
But we weren't. We were imprisoning the Indian Native Americans.
We still have so much.
Yeah.
But with people like you, we will overcome.
I just want to say also about teaching.
Yes.
Teaching is also an area that still needs change. There still are teaching that goes on, which is kind of not seeing the person, the individual, is still seeing him as people who can be used in the culture of the society, instead of for themselves to learn and to be more human.
Yes.
And there's where the Cambridge Center is very good.
Yes.
The Cambridge Center is really set up as a place to help people, not to hinder them. And so that's a valuable thing, very valuable. And it has shown me, even though I've taught at other places, and I get very minimal salaries at the Cambridge Center, I still feel it's a great place to teach, because people who come there really gain something from it and give something to it. They really do, and they want it.
And this is new. This is new. Started in 1938, I believe.
Yeah, 19. I think it was 19. I think you.
So adult education. So I mean, just as you began the show saying we needed to celebrate people like yourself,
right.
It's probably good to celebrate. It's easy for me to say this.
Yes.
To celebrate what we've accomplished, and from that place move on to more victories.
I think that's a good approach that you have. That we can't just put things down and say how bad things are.
Yes.
We got to say how good they are too, and that's a very important thing that you're saying. That you're making a very clear point. You're right.
So both.
Yeah, they're both.
And that's what you said. You have.
Yeah. Both good and bad happen.
Well, we still have 10 more minutes.
Let's use it.
Yes, what shall we do?
Let's have fun.
Okay, how shall we have fun?
Well, I tried to say it before, and I will say it again. I'm from Pluto. Where are you from?
I am from. I have a song from my book, my poetry book.
Yes.
This is called "Nobody's Perfect." It's very brief.
Oh, let's hear it.
Okay. Stranger to the human race, I'm always losing face. I'm baser than the base, a disgrace to be erased.
Wow. Great. Very nice.
Thank you.
Very nice. How did you do that? How did you make up that song? How did that happen?
I think I feel this often.
Yes. So coming from your heart.
Just like you, yes. I think so. And then to make something that's fun from something that's very painful.
Right.
That seems to be how my art works.
Right. And I like to do that too, by the way, because I often do get serious and also get very funny, and I feel that humor is a good way of being.
Yes.
You know, regardless of what else it does to anyone else, it makes you feel lighter.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
And you don't have to go on a diet. You can just laugh a lot more and feel a little joy in life, because there is a lot of joy too.
So this is your 9th decade, yes?
9 decades.
I think, let's see, if you've lived
8 decades.
You've lived 8 decades, that's 80.
Yeah.
This is, you're in your 9th decade.
Okay.
And you, which is wonderful just in itself, talk about celebration.
Yes.
Can you celebrate that? I mean, feelings are different than thoughts.
Right.
Can you feel how wonderful you are?
You know,
I can't at this moment, but
okay.
for you I could.
Okay.
But for myself it would be very hard.
Oh, really? Why?
Yeah.
Why so?
I was doing theater, protesting for the Museum of Fine Arts security guards.
Right.
And I was asked to play a role being the devil.
Really?
And I didn't mind that, but I was supposed to be hit. It was a Punch and Judy show.
Right.
And I knew, because my body was just recovering from a concussion and a bad back, I didn't want even a little bit of it.
Yeah, sure.
And I got someone to replace me.
Oh.
And the man who was leading it didn't want me to find a replacement, and he was so upset at that moment that I didn't want to upset him, because he was running this whole wonderful protest. And so I sacrificed myself, I guess, and it's been bothering me. Not terribly, but the hitting, which reminded me of when I was young and growing up in the Bronx. My mother's way of expressing her her connection to me was
Wow.
And so it brought, maybe it was very good, but it brought up all of those
Yeah.
feelings that I think I'll get over my
Right.
bad back and my little
Right.
concussion. But
Right.
that brings up such strong feelings
Sure.
that it's hard. And I didn't know how to get angry. I didn't realize
Yeah.
it's still hard for me to be
Right.
angry
Right.
at this wonderful person who ran this.
Right.
Very hard. I don't think I can.
Mm.
I think I need one of these acting exercises.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
First you do it lightly and then, oh, and then it would come out. I can feel it. Yes! Yes, Punch and Judy. Bam!
Wow.
Bam! I should
Wow.
have said no. I had someone who said they would play the devil for me, and I should have just said, here it is, and done it. And I didn't stand up for myself yet again. I just, as a child too, I didn't stop my mother from hitting me until my bones got so hard she stopped, and I didn't stand up for myself, and I've been and I get so angry at myself, and it's just, I feel, when you don't know what you're angry at, you get lost, and so that's my story.
Wow. You was very expressive right now.
Yes.
Beautifully so.
Yes. Oh my.
God.
Wow. Woof.
Yeah.
Feels better.
Yes.
A little better. I really
Yes.
probably need to do it more.
That's an important part of acting and about all the arts, to be able to express yourself more fully.
I can do it in the theater if I was playing someone else.
Yeah.
Bam!
Right.
Pow! As long as it's not me. Pow! Oh, that feels better. Even that feels... So I could do it in theater because it was too scary to do it in life.
In life, yeah.
Way too scary.
Well, that's a good reason why theater exists.
Yeah.
Because people can do it in the theater, and the audience can see that, and they can say out loud later, it's okay to be angry, it's okay to be sad, it's okay to be happy. Some people can't be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And when I teach students, I tell them there are 4 basic feelings: happy, sad, angry, and scared. Mm-hmm. You are present for all of them. You can be every one of those feelings. And some people have difficulties.
So it's
like
happy, anger, sad,
and scared.
And scared, yes.
Yeah.
It is.
All those are very basic, and are good to practice, are good to be that way, so that you can feel it's okay to feel those things. You don't always have to act them out, but you can feel them.
Yes, I have trouble.
Yeah.
Trouble doing yes. So theater. I don't know if it works in art and in poetry. In poetry, I write about it, but I don't think I feel it so much. I like even that song "Stranger to the Human Race" was a song, and I wasn't. I don't think I felt totally strange. Yeah. If you were my director, you might have helped me feel really stranger to the human. That's phony. That's playing with it.
Well, that's an important part of learning acting and being an actor, is to be authentic, to be real, and real in that sense.
Yes, people can feel it when you read. Like the story I just told was, you could feel, and people know. Right. We have 3 minutes to go.
Right.
So tell me about if there's one more of these you want to show us, or just say something about drawing in relationship. That's a little harder. The honest drawing. You said you're trying for that, right?
Let's see this.
Okay.
I'll show you this. It's a little different than the others.
Okay, here it comes, I hope. Yes, we're technological geniuses today.
This is magic markers. It was done in Cuba. I went to Cuba with my daughter in 1979, right after the Sandinistas entered into Nicaragua's capital.
Your very lovely daughter, by the way.
Yeah, lovely daughter, who actually wrote a play called That Takes Ovaries.
Yes.
Which was, again, an attempt to express how it feels to be a woman and to struggle as a woman to make it better. Any event, this was just a landscape that I drew in Cuba, and it was meant to express some of the beauty of the place in Cuba, and that this was, of course, Castro's Cuba, and even then Castro was being put down by the U.S. government and so forth. But it wasn't wasn't like that. When we went there and we visited, we found nice people, not oppressed by the government. I know that a lot of people are, in terms of human rights or in terms of censorship and so forth, and gay people have had a very tough time in Cuba. But they also had a good time because they got their basic life needs really met, and that's what I understood. And I also found them very friendly.
And what is this painting? We have 1 minute to go, so I'm going to switch back to you.
Okay.
Your last words to the human race?
Okay. Change the world, it needs it. It's still important to do that. That's what I would like to say to everyone.
And maybe to have
and to myself too.
Could we have a good time doing this?
We can have a satisfaction that we are doing something for others. That can be
for ourselves too, though. Yes, our world.
Well, of course, when you do things and you give to others, you're giving to yourself, and they're giving back by what they are doing to you, for you. So it is. Michael is right. You can have fun doing it.
Yes. Thank you, Stan Ederson.
Okay.